Hello everybody, my name is Himiko, and welcome back to the unboxing, where today we are going once again back into the world of that stupid manga that I hate, for one of my favorite characters in it, that I'm glad is finally getting action figure representation. That's right, today we are taking a look at a brand new one, which is why it's a Friday upload. Whoa! We are taking a look at what also might be the final Revoltech figure in this line. I keep putting little introductory little bits because I keep figuring out things I want to say. Today, we are taking a look at the Revoltech My Hero Academia Himiko Toga. It's still in paper. But yeah, I like Himiko as a character a lot. I think she got done dirty by the ending, but she's a really interesting character, and she's one of the more interesting bits of like writing and experimentation in that series that I wish was done better and handled in a more, I guess, introspective light. But what is there is at least somewhat interesting. I pre-ordered this, but not through one of the sites that has the pre-order extra bonuses, so just for reference, I'm not going to have the extra pre-order bonus thingy. This is just a basic pre-order, so I don't have the pre-order bonus. It comes in an outer layer of like white paper. From what I can tell, that comes straight from the shipper. This isn't something extra added by whoever you're ordering it from. This is just there. It helps protect the box art, so that's fair enough. But I don't want it on there anymore. So we're gonna get that ripped off. So there we have the Revoltech Toga box art. So at the front, as you can see, this is a fairly standard modern Revoltech box art. On this side, we have a generic like gray strip, where at the top it says Kyoto, because that's the grander company that has it. Revoltech, which is the main brand, as well as the name of the figure, Himiko Toga. I imagine this is like My Hero Academia or something. But on the side here is actually something that's quite interesting that I kind of wish they did more with this style of box art, where this is a promotional image, but it's a promotional image with a background. So it's just the photo, but the photo is really nice. It's got this sort of like industrial look to its background, because like they made like a little warehouse setup, and it's really nice and really pretty and really helps this box to feel just that little extra bit more premium, because it feels like you're buying someone doing some like professional photography work. Yeah, it shows her in all of her armor. At the top, the little bit of artwork is continued with the My Hero Academia logo over it. Revoltech, Himiko Toga, stuff in Japanese, which is probably like the name of the series. At the bottom is just like legal information and like a QR code for Revoltech. Yeah, on this side, we have more set in that background. I don't think these were originally in that background, but they still look nice. Of Himiko with a couple of her different expressions, as well as different accessories, which is nice. Himiko Toga, Kyoto, Revoltech. On this side, you gotta turn on the side a little bit. We got Revoltech, Himiko Toga, and a more full pose of her, pointing at her mouth or whatever. And on the back, you get all your usual promotional images, as well as your full breakdown of everything you get. Revoltech logo, Himiko Toga. This is a Himiko Toga, sorry. Toho logo, this is officially branded. You have her with all of her accessories on her, essentially. She stands at 130 millimeters. All of the accessories that come in the box, as well as a bunch more promotional images. So you get a good, decent number of her without the armor, because the armor is removable, which is a nice little asset of this, which we'll also have to talk a little bit more about later. So with the knife, doing some fun little faces, and then with the armor, her jumping, her using her like little stabby things to get blood, as well as her just kind of having a knife. That's the box. Fairly plain, but this is probably my favorite of these modern Revoltech boxes. It's just the one that feels the most premium, I think, because of that photographic touch. But that means we need to get inside of the box, because there's a toy in here. So we gotta take a look at it. If I can do this without damaging things too much, there's some tape at the top. I'm just gonna slowly... Yeah, that's how you open a box. So now let's slip this open with that sort of furl and take out everything that this set comes with. We have the full set of whatever that comes in this box. I think there's also like a paper probably somewhere. Anywho, let's start on the back, because on the back, since this is a Revoltech figure, it thankfully, if it'll come undone, comes with a stand. This is a Revoltech stand, which is like a fine type of stand. I found that it generally has a little bit of QC problems. I am bleeding, so that's fun. Fitting for the video. So yeah, on the back you get a bag. It's separated into two bits. We have the base of the base. We'll have seen all of this before if you've seen any of the other Revoltech videos we've done on the channel. So at this point, it would be Mirko, it would be Izuku, it would be Ochiko, it would be Todoroki. So if you've seen any of those, you know what this stand entails. You only get one, but like there isn't really much more that she would use an extra for. This one thankfully doesn't feel too loose, and I could probably, because I actually have a screwdriver now, so I could probably actually tighten this if I need to do so. So you just take this. It has the clamp on automatically, but that clamp is removable. So just take this little bottom port, plug it in, and you have a stand. It's a little loose, but we'll make do. Let's turn this around. Oh, here's the paper. Here's the paper. That's your little slip with like legalese and instructions and stuff. So, without further ado, let's get all of our corners dealt with. There we are. Things are getting a little messy already. Wonderful. Let's get things sorted a little bit better. Ooh, that's an interesting way of doing things. Sorry, I am getting nice and focused so that I can actually take a look at everything that this set comes with. And thankfully, despite being expensive, this set does come with a decent amount. It could come with more, given that there is a cheaper alternative that comes with about the same amount of stuff. We'll get there. I do have it on pre-order because I do like this character. But without further ado, let's take a look at all of our accessories. So first off, let's take a look at these hands, why don't we? So, they all have a little bit of sweater on them, and she has, I believe, fists on by default. But they all have a little bit of sweater, which is nice to see. We have these sort of splayed open hands, which are very nice and cute. Simple, like, hand design, which is fair. But with the sweater bit, and it looks fairly cleanly painted, thankfully, it has that little extra bit of dimensionality to it. And you get two of these. Where did I put the other? There it is. Yeah, you get two, which is nice. And they have that nice sort of baggy look. Next up, we have, we saw these before, a pair of pointers, or finger guns, or whatever. They have that nice curled up look, and they seem sculpted fairly nicely. Again, thankfully, the paint on the little bit of sweater is clean, so it doesn't bleed into the hands all too much. There you go on that one. There you go on this one. Third set of hands, these are a pair of grippers. I believe they're for holding the little needles that come off of her little armor set. So you can see they have a lot of room in there, so you should be able to just squeeze them in quite easily. Be careful with paint rub. That could easily happen from what I can see. And then finally, another set of holding hands. We have, they are smaller. I believe these are for the knife, or knives, or whatever. A slightly tighter grip, but you know what to get out of gripping hands. So yeah, nice set of hands. Next up, we're gonna get to what I think really helps this set feel a little bit more worth it, because as you've seen with some of the previous girls that this designer has worked on, which is the previous 3 Revoltech MHA girl figures, they are most lacking in their accessory count. In comparison to something like Izuku or Todoroki, Ochiko has some, mostly for action stuff, and Mirko has basically just hands. But for Himiko, they went full on and gave her the full swappable armor, which I do appreciate. They did also do it with the SH Figure Arts, which again got announced very recently, like right after this shipped for me. But anyhow, it comes in a set of parts. First off, we have these upper thigh parts, which look like you just kind of take the thing and you peg it in, and the peg goes through, and then boom. As opposed to the just kind of basic thighs that the base figure has, these ones have these straps, which include these knife boxes, which, as you will see, hold her knives. You can only take out the front one. These other two are sculpted in, if it'll focus. These other two are sculpted in, but she does have one of these nice little boxy knives. Very fun. You do get 2, but you don't get any spares. I do wish there was a spare just in case these fall out, because these feel fairly loose, so be careful with them. They can kind of be upside down, but not really, so do be careful with knives in general, but especially with losing them in this figure. So just be careful. Secondly, in terms of the armor, we have the bit that goes around the waist. This little like capsule slash, like, if it'll focus, come on, asshole. This little belt pouch with these like wells. It's this sort of belt. We got these pouches here in the little back bit. It's painted nicely and sculpted nicely. It's fairly simple, but it does look like it should, and as you can tell, there's a little peg hole in the back that will go into Himiko's back. I'm not going to go with the full swap for this video. It's a bit much for an unboxing, but you can do it if you so choose. The final main bit of the little armor set is this, the jaw scarf thing, and there's a little bit of paint slap on it, unfortunately. It's the white jaws from earlier in the series rather than the silver jaws that you see in the finale segment, but it does look nice. There's a little bit of paint slap, like I said, unfortunately, on the whites of the teeth, but the blue looks fairly nice and goes around the neck seemingly fairly nicely. We've got these green, and you can see they are empty currently, but we've got these tubes that are able to go down and into the back. Hopefully this doesn't cause too much articulation issues. It probably will a little bit, but just be careful and you'll be fine. But next up, we get, in this little extra baggie, which I'm not going to deal with taking out for now, a bunch of fucking needles. There are 8 total, 6 undone ones, which are meant to go into the base thing, but are made separate so they can be removable, because you need to have the 2 that have their needles extended so that you can stab with them. It's a nice little detail that they are able to do that. Just you need to make sure that they are swappable. So yeah, it's a nice little detail that they don't just have the one type, but they have the 2, and there's also like a little notch on there, which looks like a little window essentially. So I appreciate all that little detailing, but they are very small, so I'm not gonna worry about taking them out right now. But for the ones with the needles in them, maybe it's all of them. There's a little hole in the back side, if you will notice. Those are for these. You get 3 non-bendy wire cables, but they are in a somewhat pre-bent position, and what you're meant to do is, I believe I have it right here, you're meant to plug it in where the thing was, and boom, you have a little bit of cable that Himiko is able to hold and like drag around, and yeah, it is flexible, thankfully. It's not going to break on you, so if you do need to bend it a little bit for a pose, it should be fine. But yeah, you're able to attach the little needles onto it, and you get 3. For whatever reason, I kind of wish you got 6 to fill in all the holes, but you get 3, and they're nice and gray, but they aren't super detailed. But it's fine. But finally, it's time to get on to Himiko's faces. She comes with 5 outside of the one that she comes with in the box. Let's start with this one. We have her looking to the side with a big old grin. There's a lot of forehead on it, but it does look nice. It does look a lot like Himiko in general, if it'll focus properly and get lit properly. It does look like Himiko. It's interesting to get, again, more of these side-looking shots, which makes certain poses a lot more expressive and realistic looking, and I do like the way that the fangs and the tongue were painted as well. There's also a nice little bit of blush, which does seem to fit her character, but the eyes are also done nice and scraggly and sharply, and I do like that. Next up, we've got just a cute little grin. This is, again, very Himiko. There's a bit of blush, less blush this time. It'll focus. I do like the wide eyes and just the nice simple line for the grin. It fits her character perfectly and is just such a nice, expressive little face. Next up, we have like a little oohing face, which is also, again, very nice. Very similar to the last one, but the oohing is like nice. It looks like she's like either whistling or like being like, oh, you got in trouble or whatever. Fits her playful vibe very well. This next two have more interior pink detail for the mouth, as you can see. First off is the most aggressive one in this one. It still has a little bit of that smile, but she's like hissing essentially. Or at least that's how it reads to me. She's ready to like attack or whatever, but it still has a little bit of that glee and that joy, and I do like the way the eyebrows are on this one especially. It's very nice. I do like the little bit of bunching in between the eyebrows that's like sculpted in there. You can kind of see it via the shadows. It looks very nice. I like this face. Finally, we have her poking her tongue out playfully, very cat-like, very Himiko, and not much more to say. It works. But now with all of that out of the way, which is a decent amount, I will say, it's time to finally take a look at Himiko herself. And, I don't know, the face currently looks a little bit off. She's in this entire little plastic wrap. I want to see if I can't mess around with that, or, like, angle it properly. First off, let's look at the face. There seems to be a bit much forehead on this, face specifically. Let me see if that's just, like, it being in there weird, because, like, without the hair, it looks fine. Perfectly Himiko-y, really. It's just, like, with the hair. There we are. I recommend, I guess, to get the perfect look, because she doesn't look the greatest out of the box, I will say, face-wise. You kind of need to let the hair, the bangs up at the front, sit out of the peg a little bit, because as they are, if you try to push them in all the way, they ride upwards a bit much, and it makes her look like she has too much forehead, so what you kind of gotta do is rather than have it fully peg in, you just kind of got to let it sit, let the bangs sit a little bit lower. And yeah, the face will look fine there. Yeah, this looks way better. Yeah, you just kind of got to let it sit slightly unpegged. Yeah, looking at the face, now that I've done that, yeah, she looks really good. I really like how she looks. I wish there was a little bit of like a dry brush done to the hair to make it look a little dirtier, but as it is now, it looks great, and I do like her big, wide smile. It looks nice. I do like the wildness of her buns as well. They're a little sharp, so do be careful with this. It'll be like with Kamen Rider V-fins or whatever, or like antennae. These are liable to break. Torso, fairly simple. Nice baggy sort of like sweater look. I do really like it with like the sailor sort of like shirt collar popping out with the scarf. It's that classic Himiko design without the armor. Again, could have really benefited from like a dry brush to make her look a little bit dirtier, kind of like the Denji from SH Figuarts. But yeah, I don't mind this look too much at all. It does have that proper kind of baggy look and proportions that she should have. And yeah, same goes for like the sleeves. They are fairly simple, but they do have, again, that bagginess, which hasn't really been seen with the other girl figures we've seen so far. It does look like this sort of sweater look should. There are exposed joints, which, from what I can tell, the SH Figuarts sculpt-wise does slightly better. We'll have to see how articulation goes, though. I imagine this one might be slightly better articulated, at least in the wrists. But yeah, as you can see, with the outer sweater as well, we're here to look at the back. The pinstriping here on these lines is actually fairly clean. It's a little see-through because it is a white lines on a dark surface, but it looks surprisingly good, to be honest. It looks nice and clean and just doesn't look that bad at all. I do like that this is a floating piece. It does kind of float a lot to the point where you can see the joints, as you could see before. Skirt, fairly simple. It's a fairly stiff material, surprisingly so, from what I'm used to, but it is short and it has that shifting that you saw. So hopefully it should be able to get out of the way of articulation fairly well. That's probably going to be the biggest bane on articulation for this entire figure, but we'll have to see how that goes. It is a nice skirt, though. I do like the way it flares. It just has that very nice aesthetic to it, and it does work nicely. The legs are fairly plain. It does seem like the socks are slightly sculpted in, which is actually kind of nice. It's a very subtle sculpt, but it is there. But yeah, the legs are fairly basic because they're just kind of legs. They have a fairly nice plastic for the skin overall. The skin tone does feel right to me. It doesn't feel like off in any way. It's not like the best skin tone plastic I've seen. It's no Figma plastic, but it works fine. And then the shoes are these nice sort of loafers. Ooh, that's nice articulation for this kind of shoe. They have that nice subtle sculpting. I kind of wish it was a little bit more defined in the brown, but yeah. Anyhow, let's get to 1x. She's somewhat short, to be fair. That is correct, though, so she'll fit in with your Revoltech figures fine. SH Figuarts probably less so, but do with that what you will. However, the main reason you get a Revoltech is for the articulation, so let's go ahead and check that out. So, neck seems like it'll be fairly unimpeded by hair. So, there's like a double ball joint setup, it seems. She's able to look up fairly far. She's able to look down really nice and far. That's as good as you can expect. And you have your full range of spins and shit. Nice and expressive, which I want a Himiko to be. Yeah, the hair buns don't move, but that's fine. Shoulders, they are on a ball joint going into the torso to our little Revoltech hinge that goes into, I think, probably a swivel or a ball joint or something. So she does have subtle butterfly. Won't really do much, unfortunately, but it is there somewhat, so she can go in and out. There's a hinge, which is a little tight, which is able to get the full 90 degree that you would want, and it has a lot of rotation because of the ball joint on that interior bit, so it shouldn't be too impeded. There's also a swivel at the top, as you can tell. There's a single jointed joint here, which is able to swivel up here, down here, and has a single hinge in the middle, which is able to get a good bit more than 90 degrees, so that's nice and serviceable. And then you have a standard sort of wrist peg setup at the wrist where it's able to swivel, go up and down, in and out, as you would expect. Now, let's mess around with this torso, because it is seeming... that is tight as hell, Jesus. I mean, it's better than being loose, but goodness gracious, that's a lot tighter than I'm used to for a Revoltech figure and its joints. So there's a ball joint up here at the top and a ball joint down here towards the bottom. It seems like there's just a lot of range. So she's able to arc back fairly nicely. This is able to get out of the way, though, so it's able to go back Oh, that's a somewhat loosey-goosey ball joint. She's able to also arc forward. This is able to get out of the way so that she can arc basically as forward as you need. I kind of wish there was a little more, but there's also so much tilt. Like, oh my goodness. And it's a nice fluid tilt too. It does look fairly natural, but she's able to tilt very nicely, very expressive. And as I said before, I'm pretty sure this is a floating piece, the skirt. Or at least it's a little bit loose on mine. It's able to shift up and down, so I guess... And there's a split here, so it should be able to get out of the way. So let's check those legs. So it does kind of want to pull itself up, so it can kick forward that far, though you can always aid it with a bend and kick back a little bit there. She's able to kick back fairly decently, stopped a bit by a butt sculpt, but that's fine. And she's, there's a split, thankfully, and she's able to kick out all the way. It does split the skirt, obviously, but she's able to do that. But yeah, wow, it's very impressive that she's able to do that. Figures in this sort of clothes style I've seen have tended to be a bit limited, from one example. We'll get to it. Anyhow, thighs have a swivel. They kind of want to pop off on you because they're splitting nature, but it's fine. They're able to swivel all the way. Double jointed knees, similar to Himiko. Very tight. This is a very tight figure outside of this torso. So yeah, double jointed knees, they're able to go all the way. And then no swivel at the sock, but there's a swivel at the base of the feet. As well as shoes, they're able to go forward. Further than I expected. Down a lot. Have tons of tilt. And have a toe bend. Honestly, this is very well articulated. It's more articulated than I kind of expected it to be because I kind of tempered my expectations just because of the clothing style. But yeah, she is very well articulated, all things considered, for what she is. I know the articulation gets limited when you put on the armor because this piece is going to stop that from going up all the way, so you won't be able to use the full torso. She's going to be limited a bit in the neck once you put on the neck armor, but at a base, she has a fairly large range, so when you put all that extra stuff on, it should only limit it somewhat. But yeah, overall, I really like this figure. As much as I am doing this video while sick, this is a very good figure. I really like it. I have bias, because I like Himiko Toga a lot. But yeah, do I necessarily recommend this? It's a bit expensive, so I wouldn't necessarily unless you're a big fan, because it seems like the Figure Arts Himiko Toga is going to be able to do a lot of what this can do at a cheaper price, so maybe wait for that one. I'm a little freak, though, so I'm going to have both. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little video. If you did, do all the usual YouTube stuff. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what other Hero Aka figures I should get. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!